Hello. All right. So I'm doing a book review of Failing Forward. That is John Maxwell, America's greatest author, is considered on leadership. So in his book Failing Forward, he gives some attitudes towards failure. So the start of the book actually has to do with his experience. So he says he failed, like the things that caused some of the failures that he had were fear. He didn't. He was afraid of failing. Then he misunderstood what failure was. Then he also talks about being unprepared for failure, that is unpreparedness. And then if you're to have real success in life, he basically gives the word real itself as an acronym, which actually means that your relationships are going to determine how far you're going to go. So your relationships really matter when it comes to you succeeding. And then letter E stands for you equipping others. Jesus says service to many is what brings about greatness. So your greatness is determined by the services you offer to other people. So equipping others to achieve whatever they want is what's going to determine you going forward. And then attitude is the letter A. So attitude is what's going to determine your altitude. Your altitude determines your altitude. However you relate that to yourself, however you relate to people, however you see things is what's going to determine you're going forward in your life. And then leadership, if you're to succeed in anything that you do, then your leadership in everything that you do is what is key. So you need to be responsible. And then jumping into the chapters now, because he gives like 16 principles on 16 lessons rather on failing forward. So we're talking about what failure isn't. Like that's how he starts the book. So he says failure isn't avoidable. That's one of the things you're supposed to uh, note in our minds, that failure isn't something that is avoidable, because if we're to achieve anything worthwhile, so failure isn't avoidable. And then another thing that we misconceptualize is the fact that failure isn't objective. It's something that is subjective. Yeah, and then the other reason that he gives is that failure is irreversible. It's not, it happens, it happens, we move on. Yeah, so failure is not reversible, it's irreversible. And then we've got this misconception that failure is an event. Just like success is a process, because it's not a destination, it's not an event. So, in the same manner, your failure today or tomorrow is going to be determined by the process that you have. So, it isn't an event, it's basically a process. And then the other reason is that failure is a stigma. No, it isn't. And then the other reason that it gives is failure is final. No, it's not. Just like success isn't final, failure is not final. Yeah, and then we can now move on to looking at some of the steps to achieve in order to fail forward. So, step number one is that failure is a price we pay for success. So, the first principle, basically, which actually makes a lot of sense to me when I read, is that you're supposed to redefine what failure is. So the definition that he gives is something that is nice. Basically, I like it. He says, um, realize that there is one difference between average people and people who achieve great stuff. So there is this difference between average achieving people and people who achieve great stuff. There's just that slight difference that is there. So the definition of failure itself is failure is a price we pay in order for us to achieve success. So the second step in order to fail forward that we must take is to learn that failure is the price you pay for achieving success. As I said earlier on, that it's a definition. So redefine what failure is. Number four, failure isn't so bad if it doesn't. Failure isn't so bad because it doesn't attack. It's not so bad if it doesn't attack the heart. And then success is all right as long as it doesn't go to your head. So yeah, failure isn't bad as long as it doesn't attack your heart. And success is okay as long as it doesn't go to your head. So you're supposed to take note of that. So every genius, when Thomas Edison and others like him who were tried and then they failed or succeeded in whatever they did, basically have a lot to tell us about what failure is. So every genius basically could have been said to have had failed. So the other thing that the book talks about is you need to um, take action and respond to your fear. So fear is one of the basic reasons basically we tend to avoid failure. So because we fear. And then the fifth principle is we changing our response to failure, and that is by accepting responsibility. I love what this man talks about, Brian Tracy, in Maximum Achievement. He talks a lot about you taking responsibility of whatever happens to your life. Whatever happens to our lives is basically what we need to take responsibility of that is in our lives. Yeah. And then we can have some 7 abilities to develop in order to fail forward. So the first one is you need to reject rejection. The second one is you need to see failure as something that's temporary. Then you can also see failure as an isolated event. Don't look at it as some total things like that. It's just an isolated incident that happens because it's a process. And then we can also keep our expectations realistic. A lot of people think they fail because their expectations are realistic and the like, but on a sad note, we need to keep our expectations realistic. Then we can also focus on our strengths. That is the best you can do. Like, that's a favor you can do to yourself. Just focus on your strengths. Then you vary approaches to achievements. You can vary your approaches to achievements. And then finally, you bounce back. After trials and errors, you simply bounce back. Therefore, we jump onto the fourth principle that he gives in the book, saying, you're too old to cry, but it hurts so much to laugh. So you're too old to cry, but it hurts so much to laugh. So failure doesn't make you a failure. That's the thing. Failure doesn't make you a failure. You're not a failure. Failure is something that happens, but you as an individual are not a failure. So there is this cycle that fear actually brings in our lives. So there is fear, and then we tend to have inaction. Then from there, we've got this inability. Then from an inability, go to inexperience, and then the cycle is repeated. Fear, inaction, inability, then inexperience. And then they tend to achieve nothing at the end of the day. So, what fear brings about actually some of the things I'm going to list down. That is paralysis, number one. You simply relax and do anything that you want to do simply paralyzes you, paralysis rather. And then there is procrastination. A lot of people procrastinate because they think they're perfectionists and they do not want anything to go wrong and stuff like that. But no, if you to do anything outside the emotion of fear, then you're definitely supposed to get rid of procrastination. Fear has got a lot to do with excuses. A lot of failures, people who fail and do not move forward are people who give excuses because they fear doing something. No, they've got excuses like for everything. They're going to give excuses for everything. And then the other thing is when we have fear, we misuse our energy. Instead of focusing on the solutions that we need in order to get to where we want to get, we tend to give excuses or rather misuse our energy. And then we definitely become a people who are hopeless. So there is hopelessness that comes in as a result of fear. Principle number 5, find the exit of the future freeway. That is a freeway. So responsibility is probably the most important ability someone can have. That is just how it is. And then number 6, no matter what happens to you, failure is an inside job. No matter what happens to you, failure is an inside job. So life isn't simply holding a good hand. One author says, life is playing a poor hand well. Some philosophy there, deep stuff. So the misconception about contentment, the same word. Yeah, is that it doesn't contain emotions, but that's a misconception. And it's a mentality of your current situation. It's not. And then not attaining position for our possessions. No, it's not. Principle number 7 is the past holding your life hostage. Is your past holding your life hostage? So even in the best stumble signals of past breakdown. So there's some signals of past breakdown. Number 1, rationalization. Number 2, comparison. Number 3, isolation. Number 4, regret. Number 5, bitterness. So these are signals of past breakdowns. Like when someone has been broken down in the past, what they're going to run towards is bitterness. They're going to become bitter about this. They're bitter about that and that and that. They're going to isolate themselves and want to achieve anything and on, but it doesn't work like that. Then there is comparison. They compare yourself to others. Rationalization. You rationalize everything. Rejection. You tend to reject everything. No, I tried this, I tried that. Life doesn't work like that. So there are people, I can't see my own handwriting. Principle number 8. Who is this person making these what? Mistakes? You, yes, you are the person making the mistakes. So in order for you to help yourself, you're supposed to see yourself clearly. Like if you got a clear view of who you are, then you're going to know that mistakes are avoidable. And then you're supposed to adjust your flaws, admit your flaws, and adjust them honestly. Admit that you're human, you're going to make mistakes. Just accept them honestly. And then discover your strength joyfully. Work at your strengths joyfully. And then build on your strengths. That is one of the best things you can do. And then there is this takeaway that I got from the book. Like it just made so much sense. If there is anything that I learned from the book, it's this one. Not realizing what you want is a product of knowledge. A product of knowledge is not realizing what you want is a product of knowledge. So a result of you not having knowledge is going to make you realize that you do not know what you want. And then not pursuing what you want is a product of motivation. Then the last one is not achieving what you want is a product of persistence. So if you do not achieve what you want, then persistence is wrong. So look at knowledge, look at motivation, and look at persistence. So change yourself and your world will change. Change starts with you as an individual. Change starts with me as an individual. Number 9, get over yourself. Everyone else has. Just get over yourself. Everyone else has. So put others first. Find out what others need, and then meet other people's needs. This is service to others. Number 10, grasp the positive benefits of the negative experiences. So grasp something positive out of everything that is negative. Then there are some um, principles to failing forward, like some of the things that I jotted down, like adversity, which creates resilience, adversity develops maturity, adversity pushes the envelope of accepted persistence, then adversity provides greater opportunities, adversity prompts innovation, then adversity recaps and unexpected beliefs, um, motivation. So find benefits in every bad experience. Learn something new from everything that is there. Number 11, take a risk. There is no other way to fail forward apart from taking risks. So everything in life is a risk. Sitting down is a risk. Moving in a bus is a risk. Going somewhere in your car is a risk. Drinking water itself is a risk. Like everything is a risk. But what do we do to move on? Like just risk it if it is worthwhile. Yeah, worth risking. That is. So people do not risk. Why? Because they've got some reasons they think that have come up with for themselves. So they do not want to feel embarrassed. There are these traps. So the embarrassment trap, and then there is a rationalization trap. There is this unrealistic expectation trap, and then there is a fairness trap. On this one, life isn't fair. Let's grasp the idea that life isn't fair. There is no need for us to change the fact that life isn't fair. If it isn't fair, then let's not try to waste our energy on making it fair. Leave it the way it is and find your way out of it. So there is another trap, which is the timing trap. And then there is an inspiration trap. Those are the traps you're not supposed to fall for if you're to succeed. So you're not pushing hard enough if you're succeeding at everything that you're doing. Yeah, this one touched me. Doesn't mean you're a genius, it just means you're not pushing hard enough. You're not moving out of your comfort zone. If whatever you're doing, you're succeeding, then just try to do something that's going to push you forward. Number 12, make failure your best friend. Yeah, make failure your best friend. So um, things which hurt us instruct us. I got it. Things which hurt us instruct us. So, learning from failure, what can we do to learn from failure? Look at what the cause of failure was. Was it you? Who was it? What was it? Look at what the cause of failure was. And then what happened for the failure to actually truly occur? What was it? What happened really? Then what success was in the failure? Try to zoom in and look at the success and the failure. Then you can also look at what can be learned from it. And then were you grateful for the experience? Yeah. And then you also look at how the failure can be turned around, like it can work for your good. And then who can help you with the issue? Then you can also look at where you go from there. Yes, it happened, but what do you do from there? So learn from failure, learn from the experience, and find the good out of it. Number 13, avoid the top 10 reasons why people fail. So these are the top 10 reasons of failure. So reason number one is poor people skills. We talked about relationships. So yeah, poor people skills has to do with you relating to people and communicating with people. Number two, negative attitude. We talked about attitude already. Then the bad fit. Number four is lack of focus. So if you do not have focus, nothing's going to work out. Number five, weak commitments. We are not committed to anything because we do not necessarily see the benefits that we're going to get from it. Number six is an willingness to change if you do not want to change and pity you. Number seven, the shortcut mindset. We want instant success. you do something like right now and then you just get the results there and then doesn't work like that. Number 8, relying on talent alone. Talent is great, but without hard work is going to beat talent. Got that. Number 9, a response to poor information. So a response to poor data. The poorer the data, the badder, if there is such a word. So the worse the response is going to be. Number 10 is not having goals at all. People do not set goals. If you want to read about goals, I would recommend Brian Tracy. Just read on goals and from Brian Tracy. He's got good stuff there. And then work on your weaknesses. Oh, that weakness that weakens you. Work on the weaknesses that weakens you is the 13th lesson to learn. Number 14, the little difference between failure and success is a big difference. So the power of persistence. You're talking about the power of persistence. What is it that persistence is going to do? Persistence. So in order to persist, you need a purpose. Find one. Excuses, you need to eliminate them. Incentives, you need to develop some. Determination, you need to cultivate it. So understand there's not much difference between failure and success. They're like that. Yeah. Number 15, the second last one. So it's what you do after you get back up that counts. So what you do that counts. So the word forward itself can be an acronym for the following things that we can do in order to get back up after the failure experience. So the first one is you need to finalize your goals. So F is for finalizing your goals. O is for ordering your plans, and then R is for risking failure by taking action. So risk failure by taking action. W is welcoming mistakes. A is for advancing based on your character. R is your relevant, you reevaluate your progress continually. Reevaluate your progress continually. Then D is you developing strategies. So get up, get right, get going. And then step number 16 and the last one we get done. You're ready to fail forward. So turn your mistakes into stepping stones for success. So these are the basic principles I think that I got from the book itself. The most important lesson which I learned was not realizing what you want is a product of knowledge. Not pursuing what you want is a product of motivation, and not achieving what you want is a product of perseverance. So this is it for the review of this book, Failing Forward. So you're ready to fail forward. See you.